Welcome back to Her Rules Radio. I'm Alexandra Jameson, your hostess. I've been a coach/guide to rising women leaders, an author and an artist for 20 years. And this show is all about helping women live life by their own rules. Now, this spring 2021 season of the show is a special focus inspired by my own creative journey and coaching professional women over the last couple of decades. Now, this season is here to inspire you on your own creative and leadership journey. I've curated and invited these guests specifically to support other multi-passionate, multi-hyphenated women to gather our strengths, get clear, reconnect with our own creative wisdom and dreams. And it's for women who want to support and learn from other women on their creative and leadership journey. So I am thrilled to have my friend Solonje Burnett today. Solonje is a Caribbean American. She truly thrives off and embodies this idea of universal interconnectedness amongst peoples. She centers self-care as a catalyst for community care. So self and community and interconnectedness. She's on a mission. She gives the underrepresented a seat at the table. She works to shatter stereotypes, structural inequities, and biases through business practices, through culture curation, strategic branding, hiring, advocacy, and inclusive, purpose-driven community experiences. I mean, when I talk about multi-hyphenate, multi-passionate, Solonje is like the picture in the dictionary under those ideas. And she really uses her passion for people by supporting small businesses through intentional brand partnerships, which I want to talk about, educating on social injustices from sustainability to the movement for Black lives, housing rights, while pushing, underscore this, an agenda of transparency and integrity. She's done a lot of things. She's managed artists. She's created incredible events at private venues and social clubs. She's produced conferences. She's done all these incredible things. And she guides healing breathwork experiences through frequency, which I love your breathwork classes so much. You have hosted Radical Self-Care, the Cannabis, Wellness, and Activism series on Afropunk. And you sing in the Resistance Revival Chorus, which came out of the Women's March. You've got a BA in Psychology and Africana Studies from Wellesley and an MA from Emerson Colleges in Broadcast Journalism. It's Solonje. Thank you for being here.
Oh, that was a mouthful. Thank you for regurgitating all of my stuff.
You are, when I thought about doing this series, and I thought about the challenges that I wanted to help my listeners with, and I have it in myself too, there's this sense of discomfort with being someone who likes to do a lot of different things.
That is the truth.
Right?
Huge discomfort there. I mean, it took me until recently to just accept that. And starting, one thing you didn't mention is that I'm the founder of Humble Bloom, a cannabis company. So I guess I forgot to put that on there. But
oh my gosh, it's not even on there. How did I miss that?
So that's what I do, but it's okay. I do all the other things too. But yeah, it wasn't until I jumped into the cannabis space and started this company that was based on education and advocacy and consulting for brands to bloom consciously, as well as, connect people through inclusive, immersive experiences, that I realized I can do all the things in my work, and there's nothing wrong with doing all the things. But society tells you can't. It's when you grow up, you have to be a firefighter, a doctor, a lawyer, or one thing. And my entire experience has always been fighting against that, or pushing against this idea of, in order to, make money or be happy in your work side of yourself, that you do one thing.
So yes, all that. Let's talk about your creative journey to this moment. Earliest days. Did you grow up in a family that encouraged your creativity, that was there to support you? Because it's not easy to live in this culture and be all the things, or even endeavor to say, I'm going to be a creative, or I'm going to go off and build my own thing. So what was your family support system like there?
So kudos to Esther Margaret Williams, my mom from Grenada. She is an incredible human being who from day one encouraged me to be curious and to explore. I don't think she ever was like, this is what you have to do. Of course, as an immigrant and a Black woman, she just wanted me to be successful. And that was what she pushed for. It's like, be good, do good, excel. But then she always put me in so many different things to figure out what it was I liked. So whether it was Girl Scouts or it was piano lessons or it was classical voice training, or it was ice skating, or it was hockey, or it was soccer, basketball, track, volunteering, teaching Sunday school to kids. Like my mom was like, oh, there's something, let me register you for it. And if you like it, you'll stay. And I was an overachiever and I stayed in most of the things. Like my sister, my sister on the other hand, she like signed her up for soccer. She got the jersey and 2 weeks later, she was like, I'm not doing this, but for me, I think also first generation, firstborn in the family, it was like, I need to do well. I need to do all these things. And so that just opened my mind. And growing up in a white neighborhood, being the only, like you stick out like the black sheep in the midst of all the sea of white fluffy sheeps, And I just was like, all right, like if I don't do well, I will stick out and I will be a target, whether it will be for teachers or police or other parents or any of these things. So it was just deeply ingrained that I had to do 10 times better than my friend Rebecca, Sarah, or Jessica. And that I also, really should try all the things because who knows what you're good at and what you'll like.
Wow. Yeah. I love that you did everything.
I did everything. Yeah. And it was like, in growing up, it was a little bit confusing too, because you have these outside pressures of you must do this. Like, what are you trying to do? So I started studying psychology. I then cried when I started reading medical charts of people who had been involuntarily committed at public hospitals and psych wards. And I was like, I can't do this. Otherwise, I'm going to adopt everybody like, Josephine Baker and have like a rainbow tribe of people that are now my children, which I still think I kind of have anyways, but just not through, psychology traditionally. And, then I was like, oh, broadcast journalism, I'm going to help people through educating them through the truth of the news. But we all know the media needs to be reformed and is a sham because it's owned by rich white men. So like, as I went through that process again, I'm like, oh, wait, I don't want to do this. And so after doing nonprofit work in the arts and protecting young queer people and cancer and music and doing nightlife at the same time, it was like I never had enough money to do just one thing. It was like, let's do a bunch of different things in order to survive. So yeah.
Well, as you were talking about, like, I was going to adopt everyone and I was going to tell everyone the truth. I'm like, you kind of have done all those things. Like, I've seen you at parties that you've organized or that you're producing, events that you're coordinating. Like, you have a huge network. You have, I don't know if it's one community or if you have 15 communities that all kind of interplay at times.
Definitely that. And I think that has been what actually got me in some of these spaces. You mentioned, working at members clubs and fancy hotels and that sort of thing in the city. Like I started doing nightlife in Boston. And when I was doing it, just like New York, as much as it's diverse in New York, people sit in circles of sameness. They sit in circles of people that look like them, that feel like them, that grew up like them, that have the same interests as them, whatever it is. It's like all the musicians are hanging out over there and they're all European and they're all talking in the same language. And like all these other women that are in fashion, they're over here. And, I was that Black kid growing up that didn't sit at the table with the Black kids and also didn't feel super comfortable with the white kids. So I've always been this like this connector of community. And that in nightlife was an advantage to me because as a Black woman coming in, instead of selling these white men in their spaces, oh, I'm going to bring a bunch of Black people to your space. It was like, no, I'm going to bring you this culture rich energy and frequency of like rainbow energy into your space, and actually primarily white, but mixed, like European white and American. I actually don't have that many American friends, to be honest, and maybe it's because it's first generation vibes. But yeah, yeah, it was just such a cross section of folks coming into their space. And that followed me, of like everything I do, whether it's like, yes, I have trans folks hanging out with the table with me before anyone was really talking about that. It's like, yes, come to my parties, hang out, and you're not a spectacle or something different. Like, I'm Solonje and I'm here and I love you and I'm your like weed auntie and let's hang.
And let me say, I so admire, like I've looked at you at events and I'm like in awe, because I'm like, how do you, like, I get full. I'm one of those extroverted introverts. I get full of people. You do too. I'm like, how do you do it? You have all of these relationships and so many projects and energies overlapping. How do you manage your creative energy? I know self-care is such a huge, it's a pillar of your work. How do you manage your energies?
Now, like, I've gotten better. It's taken time. I think when I hit the 4th floor, when Solonje 4.0 happened, it was like a real recalibration of, holy crap, I can't burn it at all ends. Not even both ends, all ends. Like, I'm on fire. And like, this is too much. And it's not regenerative. It's not good for me. I'm not channeling energies in ways that help me grow and sustain either. It's just all over the place trying to do all the things. I think in this past year, especially with the pandemic, it's helped me to slow down so I could speed up and really understand, where am I best serving folks and how do I also restore myself in the process? So before, it would be, I'm hosting an event, I would work and be like co-working out of the assemblage or something, and then go to one event and then go to another event and then be hosting my own event and be up until and out till 4:30 in the morning, turn around, come home, face plant on my couch, wake up and do it again. And like, not good. So, now for me, I've learned how to say no. I have sat down with myself and figured out, what are the things I was doing just chasing money and also coming from a scarcity mindset versus now sitting with myself, doing the breath work, doing the meditation, just reading, breathing deeply, crying if I need to, whatever it is. And then like writing stuff down and being like intentional every month, twice a month on the moons, new and full. What do I want to bring in? What do I want to let go of? What's out of whack and out of balance, and really consciously with intention be like, okay, this is how I'm going to make revenue. This is what I want my relationships to look like, all of these things.
Yeah. We've known each other, I don't know, somewhere between 7 and 10 years. I can't quite pinpoint.
When did that happen, right?
Good Lord. And I've witnessed you do so many things and be a part of so many things. What are you, if you could choose a couple, what are you most proud of having contributed to or creating?
Wow. I think one of the things I'm really most proud of is the connections that I've facilitated for other people, whether it is, I kind of have now started to think of myself as like a relationship activist.
Oh, I love that.
And this is relationships that are from micro and internal with yourself to this external and the world and the different people, the companies, all of that stuff. So I work with individuals through Humble Bloom or their companies on how to live their values in their organizations, to have the ethic boiled in, to do more than performative work with regards to marketing and activism and that sort of thing. Like, who are you hiring? Like connecting brands with content creators that are women or femmes of color and then paying them and, or seeing people come to a breathwork class that I'm not even facilitating and then come back to me and be like, that changed my life. And first of all, thank you, Alex, for introducing me to frequency, because every time, like, I'm thinking about how Viv has been integral to my healing journey, but it actually is you who brought me to Viv in the first place when frequency just opened.
I even forgot about that.
Yeah, it's all you, honey. I don't forget.
That's so cool. I love it.
Things that I purposefully forget.
But not this.
proper. It's like, oh, you did this when you were, I'm like, don't remember, it didn't happen.
So with all of these collaborations and projects, what kinds of rules or boundaries do you have for yourself personally to help you maintain your productivity in your work?
Yeah, so I think I was pretty boundaryless for a while. Like, it's terrifying to think about. But when I think about my now ex-husband, woo!
See ya.
Yeah, see you later, I'm gone. Like, sign that paperwork. Bye, baby. Like, when I think about him, when I think about, like, there were certain things that, like, yes, I'm not dealing with this, but there's also this image of Black women. It's like, you're always a bully. You speak up for yourself, you're a bully. You're aggressive. You're somebody. So there were times, I even literally now have braids to some extent because it softens and feminizes me. I realized when I shaved my head, energy from men was different or when my hair was short and afro-ish compared to long braids. So like, I am taking like a full stock account of like how I am, perceived in the world, number one, but then also how I want to feel in the world. And how can I find some comfort, safety, and security psychologically and physically? And so with boundaries and expectations, like whether it was work and even with my co-founder, Danielle, like mixing and blending personal, professional, like emotional, all of these things without thinking about how that impacts your work and just your well-being, like that has been a hard stop. Started going to like having a leadership coach to help, figure out, okay, this is what we need to do. I've read some books, it really is like, and it's just a continual practice of learning too, because I think that so much of what I deal with personally is like interracial relationship dynamics because I'm so deeply seated in white community. So like, what do my boundaries look like? How do I say them? And even outside of white community, like we all are affected by this mindset. It doesn't matter if you're Black or brown, yellow or green, like you also have this indoctrination. So and like an example, recently I had someone ask me if I could help them with something with their child or whatever. And it's like, I want to mentor, I want to help, I have done it, I do it in different ways. But like, I know what I have space for right now. And what I have been learning how to do is advocate for myself in real time instead of letting things sit and get more difficult and more frustrating with the person you're communicating with. So it's like, in that moment when this person asked me that, I was like, I hear you, but I have to let you know that I feel really uncomfortable right now that you're asking me this because it almost feels like it was like you like set me up for this without asking, like coming from a friend space, but then asking for professional stuff. And like, I don't have the capacity for this. I don't have the bandwidth. And I'm working on trying to get a few projects up and running, rather than saying, oh yeah, sure, honey, have him email me and then don't respond and damage the relationship even more. And if you take this as insulting, well, that's on you. I'm just being transparent about what I'm able to do and honor, and that I'm doing it in all my relationships now. It's like either sit and respond later when you are mentally able to do it, or in that moment when someone's confronting you, just be like, I'm uncomfortable, I need time to think about this, or no, I'm not doing this, I don't have space.
There's a couple things that you've said that remind me, I try not to use like military or sports expression analogies, but there's one that popped up as you were saying something. I think this is from the Navy SEALs, where they say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Like we have to slow down to really get the picture of what's going on so that we can smooth things out and not do things that are, not working anymore, so that we can go further faster.
Exactly. And one thing I always say is you got to slow down to speed up. Like,
exactly.
You cannot just be running a marathon or a sprinting marathon. You miss everything all around you. Like, you got to pause or start like crawl through, wade through and figure out, okay, which way should I go? Is that the right way? And then once you find it, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get in the flow and move with it.
Yeah. So, because I know you have so many different kinds of creative output, and some of those things you get paid for, and some of those things are just passions for you. How do you structure your time? Like, I'm so curious how creatives' calendars work. Like, are you really specific with how you use your hours, your days? Do you have certain days where you do writing or certain days where you do meetings? And now I know you're leaving for a choir recording after we talk. Is it all a mishmash? Some people do really well with kind of everything all at once. Some people like a day for this, a day for that. How does that work for you?
I'm the mishmash, for sure. I'm like, there could be 4 different things. I could be responding to an interview request for some publication, and then have a podcast conversation, and then be talking to a client or a potential client with Humble Bloom, and then run and go do Resistance Revival chorus taping, and then finish and be like, all right, now I'm hosting breathwork, which is actually my day today.
Oh my goodness.
And then other days I'm like, fuck all of this, and I block my day and I'm going to the park and I'm reading. And I think that is super important too, because we're so scheduled. And I grew up being hyper scheduled. And I think but there wasn't scheduled for rest. And that is something that I've learned, particularly as a Black woman, and a Black woman who's a humanist and cares about the betterment and the advancement of all of us, is that rest is also revolutionary, is radical, is resistant, because we are in these systems where productivity reigns, but productivity is white supremacy. I do not need to produce to be valuable or to value myself. And so, last summer and the summer before that, I even had like a Facebook group at one time that was like, we're going to the beach, and invited all these friends onto it. And it was like purposefully scheduled breaks in the middle of the week. Who can come with me when there's not a bunch of a-holes sitting there too, and it can just be us and not all the babies and the animal and everybody screaming. It's like, how can we escape to the New York beach without everybody there? And like, it has continued. Like last year, even in the pandemic, I'm like, every Wednesday, I'm heading out there. Who's taking me? How am I going? Who wants to go out of here? Because I need to get out of here.
Yeah. So there obviously are. I was going to ask, are there themes? Do you see themes running throughout your work? And it's so clear just listening to you, even if I didn't know you, that there are. But I wonder if, and you're welcome to repeat what these themes are, but I wonder if, your humanism, your activism, if that is kind of an automatic filter to help you choose what you will work on. Like if it doesn't fit within a theme, will you welcome it into your space? Or do you allow yourself to just kind of follow a flight of fit? Like, oh, that sounds fun, I'm going to do that.
I think that there has to be some values alignment in whatever project I'm working on, for sure. There obviously are times, particularly in path life, pre-pandemic, the before time, where, I had to make money. So yeah, I'd work for a Google, or I'd work for a Bloomberg, or I'd work for any of these folks. It's like, honey, a bee's got to eat, right? Like no one else is paying for me. So I got to make that money, honey. But now I think that with Humble Bloom right now, all of our clients are female founded. Did we go out there and seek them out? No, they sought us out because they like the model that we have, or they have been watching me over the past 3 years and speaking engagements and press and whatever. And they're like, oh, Solonje, we need some of that. So I think it's not really so much me going out and reaching out for people. It's like they're seeing me and like what I'm doing and want to be aligned.
Yeah, that level of alignment, was that something that you consciously honed over time? Or did you realize you were like, oh, this is something I'm doing? How did that evolve?
I think that's also, my embodied experience. Like I said, I grew up this first generation Caribbean American in Newton, Massachusetts, surrounded by privileged Jewish white kids who for the most part were pretty good, pretty decent to me. You know, it's not like I was being abused, but like physically or anything. But, you know, in that space, you have a certain awareness and consciousness that other kids don't have to cultivate. And so that is something that from day one, I realized I'm othered. I should be nice to others. I should include others. I should step up and support and advocate for others. And that has been, and I just think I'm an empathetic person to begin with, you know, like I just love other people and I love our planet. Like I sit here and cry sometimes when I see 3 birds come onto my windowsill. I'm like, you're so cute. And, you know? And
oh, I know. I've seen it in real life.
constant crying, constant tearing up, you know? So yeah, I think it's something that is innate that I have honed in on and been able to verbalize better than I did before. I might not have known I was doing it, but it was always there, you know?
You know, I ask this question. I guess I'm bringing this part of the conversation up because I want to remind listeners that like it's a process to refine and hone who you are. And sometimes our values change over time, or they become so clear that a larger value becomes like an even more succinct value. And that's okay. Like that's evolution, right? You said you have to keep learning earlier. So this process of kind of always discovering and always seeking is absolutely acceptable.
Oh, it's the way to be, the way to go. I mean, one of the things I've realized is that yes, I lead with values over interests. And that has been something that definitely has been refined or fine-tuned during the pandemic. It's like even the people who have been in my like circle of safety, like who are my friends, my dear close friends. It's like not necessarily the people that I partied with all the time, or not necessarily the people who are in the cannabis industry, or not necessarily just women, actually. You know, it's really shifted to those who are values aligned, those who check in and care more than what can I do for you? Like, it's like, how can I elevate you as well, Solonje? You know, where's the reciprocity here? I'm looking for homeostasis in my relationships and something that feels more effortless and in the flow. And that's something that has been like paramount, is like, I need effortless relationships. My relationships should not be filled with drama, should not be me putting all the energy in and you're not putting energy in. And that's from friends to partners to lovers to random Hinge dates, you know.
That's a great dating filter. Are you going to bring a ton of drama into my life? Just tell me now. Yeah. Just tell me now.
I mean, I got some guy that like jumped on, and because I didn't respond within like 12 hours, started calling me a liar, like on text. I'm like, wait, like I'm out like with somebody right now. I try to put my phone away when I'm with people that I care about to give them my attention. And then you're cursing at me. I was like blocked, insane. Like, what was I thinking?
Whoa.
Yeah. People.
Wowzers.
Yeah. Wowzers.
So, okay. I mean, we can go down a whole path around dating and sex as a creative flow, but we're not going to do that because we don't have enough time to talk about that.
Dating and sex. Oh my God. Oh, yes. Finding your creativity through fucking. Sorry.
Yes. Yes. This is an explicit podcast. Totally welcome. Well, okay. So do you ever get creatively stuck? Do you ever get like blank page overwhelm?
I don't have time.
I was just going to say, I don't think there's time for it.
No.
Yeah.
I don't. And I believe in collaboration. So if I'm stuck, someone else will stick. I'm not alone. And I think that's one thing, is that creatives a lot of times don't build their team. Like you need a team to be creative. You cannot create in isolation, just like you can't heal in isolation. Isolation is not for humans. You grow and learn and thrive by being in concert with others. Like we're an orchestra, we're all interwoven and connected. Like, oh my God, I don't know about these mountain men that hide up by themselves with their dog somewhere. That's wild to me. There's a reason why I'm in New York. It fuels me. It also depletes me at times. And that's why I feel like I need to be able to go to other places. I need to run away sometimes. Mm-hmm. But the creative energy of collaboration and connection in New York is it's just constantly firing. So you're just inspired. But it's so funny because when you reached out to me actually to do this, it's actually taken me some time to realize that I am a creative, which is so weird to say out loud.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted to ask you, do you call yourself an artist or a professional creative?
I don't know what I call myself. I call myself a humanist, honey. I'm like, I love humans. Yeah. And like, I was on the call, I had a conversation with the editor of Brooklyn Magazine a couple of days ago. And he's like, you are like you are like New York creative. And I'm just like, what? Like, I don't even know what that means.
So I started calling myself a pro creative, like professional creative. And I was like, that's what it feels. It feels like you are like constantly birthing, whether it's relationships or articles or people. Please go follow Solonje on Instagram. Your pictures are so beautiful.
Thanks, honey.
It's true.
If for those of you who can't see this, that was a hair flip. But no, yeah, the idea of being a creative, I think, again, it comes to this, like, mono energy of what a creative is. Like, it's like, oh, you must be an artist or you're a singer or and this idea of the multi-hyphenate artist, which is a doer of many things, is, it's like multifaceted, full spectrum explosion of creation. And that, I guess that's what creative is creating what you're creating, how you're connecting people and getting them emotionally tethered to your art or your practice is like another thing. But yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, I create content on Instagram that's educational, and I'm like curating photo shoots for products and female brands that I love. It's like I'm creating containers for people to connect, whether it's in nightlife or it's in cannabis or it's in conversation on a variety of topics. So yeah, there is a lot of creativity in that, but it doesn't feel so creative when you're in spreadsheets and send emails and like design tools on your phone. Like, you're just like, this feels like, it doesn't feel like art.
Well, so you responded to a post I put up, which was, people see a painting on a wall, basically, and they think, oh, that's art. What they don't see is all of the other stuff that goes into it, the education, the work, the space, the community, like all the other stuff that leads to a piece of art being creative. And you chimed in, and business acumen. You were like, to be a pro creative, you have to get friendly with Excel spreadsheets. Like, you have to know your P&L. You've got to know like what your overhead is.
You need to build a team for the things you don't know. And that's like the creatives that I see struggle, the ones that are, oh, I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm a this. And they're like, their brain does not understand that you also need to be able to write an email coherently with punctuation to people to support your vision, and don't understand, yes, you need to have a website so people can find you, because who's just networking IRL, even pre this pandemic, So it's, yeah, business acumen is huge. It's not just, oh, my uncle, it was a great painter, and so now I can get my stuff in the Whitney too, or like, yeah, I have beautiful paintings. If it's not out there for the masses to consume because you're afraid to open an Instagram account, like, and show your face and humanize your work so people feel connected to it, then yeah, good luck, honey.
Yeah. Now, I'm just realizing, like, you're one of my, I don't know, you're my 6th or 7th interview in this series, and I'm seeing some themes develop. And one is that to be to have a long career of your own making, of your own choosing, to be a procreative long term, you have to be willing to wear many hats. And sometimes you wear one and sometimes you wear five. And you sometimes have to make your own hat and sometimes you have to borrow somebody else's hat.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I love to collect hats.
Yes. So with all the wonderful things that you've done and are doing, what are your creative dreams that you'd like to make or achieve in the next, let's say, 5 years?
Yes. So within cannabis, well, first of all, within the next 3 to 5 years or whatever, I'm like hoping by the time I'm 45, I am doing very little.
Early retirement.
Yeah, early retirement. I'm like the cannabis searching for my investment farm boo. Like, hey, honey, who's going to help me make this farm in the Caribbean so I can just continue to be highly melanated and infused with cannabis and just feeling so happy, like sunning my yoni on a beach, you know, like... These are my dreams, Alex. And this is manifestation season. So I'm speaking and using that throat chakra. But like, honestly, yeah, I would love to, as much as, you know, people are like, okay, what are you guys going to do? Cannabis is legal. Are you going to make a product? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? I want to keep my options open. And I see myself being invested or a part of different organizations, different companies, whether they're a retail dispensary or they're doing an incubator. Like, how can I continue to do the things that I love, which is like educate, create community, those sorts of things, but not have to do all the output myself? You know,
Yeah.
I think we have huge egos around being like, I'm the face, it's my company, it's my brand, it's my, which is also, you know, rooted in those societal ills that we've inherited from colonization. But I think that the way we grow and the way we can actually be able to have just a regenerative life that we feel happy and calm in is to let go of some of this shit. I told Danielle the other day, I'm like, if Humble Bloom as a name didn't exist 3 years from now, so be it.
Oh, well.
As long as we're doing great things, we will exist.
Yeah.
And like nothing lasts forever. So yeah, realizing that nothing is permanent, accepting that, and really deciding for like these next 3 years, how can I get some wealth that is sustainable, something that is, you know, I can actually help my mom out, help my niece that's on the way, you know, how can I restore and replenish my community, my family, those around me? Like, that's more of my goal than, okay, I need to be sitting on big stages. I need to be doing TED Talks. I need to be, you know what I mean? I need to have this much. It's like, I just want to be comfortable, connected to my community. I want to be able to go back and forth between New York and most likely the Caribbean or somewhere warm.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to share, but low key. No one will know how much money I have. I will not be on any Forbes lists. Like, no one will know.
Because you'll be either naked or wearing a caftan and no one can tell.
You know me. Overalls, yes, overall caftan jumpsuits are nude. You know me way too well.
Listeners, I want you to go check out Solonje. We've got her website and all of her links in the show notes. If you've not heard the Resistance Revival Chorus, go look it up. Go watch the videos of these incredible women who've come together to sing, to spread the word, and check out Humble Bloom. It's a beautiful company doing really great work in the cannabis space. And Solonje, I really appreciate your time. I know you've got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot going on. So to have you spend some time with us here is really great. Thank you.
Oh, this has been incredible, Alex. I'm just like, can't wait to listen to all the other episodes of all the other women and folks. One thing I want to definitely lean in to is like, we're coming out of this pandemic and we're feeling ready to fly. Just continue to care for your community and for yourself. Be healthy in your decisions, because I know we're just ready to get out there and roar like it's, you know, hippie times and just spread our seeds and everything. Just simmer down, honey. Simmer down.
Take it easy.
Take it easy. Slow down to speed up. Let's get there together. Let's gather with love.
Thank you, listeners, for being here. Thank you, Solonje. We'll be back next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Did you like today's episode? You should go leave a review. Hey, it really helps us out. I would so appreciate it. Do us a solid. Go leave a review wherever you love listening to your podcasts. It could be iTunes or Stitcher or Spotify or whatever. Anyway, if you're interested in some coaching with me one-on-one, go on over to bit.ly/coachmealex or go to alexandrajameson.com. And thanks for listening. Totally appreciate you. Be sure to tune in next week for more goodness. See you soon. Mwah.